everyone, I'm Becky Goldsmith with Piece of Cake, and today I want to show you a couple of very quick ways to use the Clover Wonder clips that you may not have thought of before. These clips are primarily for binding, for turning your binding to the back of the quilt. These clips hold them perfectly in place for either hand or machine sewing. But they're just darn handy to have, better than a paper clip most of the time. They come in small packages. Personally, I have 3 of the big boxes, and I think I'm going to get one more for larger projects. But for this, you'd only need a few. Linda is the one that told me about this idea. It's one neither of us had thought of before, but when she was at Stitch Group, one of her friends was getting ready to make a placement overlay and didn't have tape for taping the vinyl over the pattern to trace the overlay. So I'm going to demonstrate on a pattern that I've pulled out of the Best Ever Applique Sampler. I have folded the larger sheet so that this block is exposed. It's a 14-inch block, but this trick would really work with any size block. So I've got my overlay, my vinyl cut for my placement overlay, and if you're not familiar with the placement overlay, look for a video that I've made about that. I don't need to go into that detail here. But where normally I would tape the pattern to the table and then the overlay on top of it, what this friend in Linda's Stitch Group did was she used binding clips, these binding clips, to hold the overlay to the pattern so that she could trace it. And Linda said it was really marvelous, and I can see where it would be, because you see how you can very easily turn the pattern and trace it without it being fixed in position. If your paper is too large for the binding clip to hit the vinyl, you can always fold the paper down so that the binding clip actually catches the edge of the vinyl. Pretty sweet trick, isn't it? And you could use just a few or more binding clips depending on the size of the pattern you were doing. Another way that I'm using binding clips myself is this. When I've got strips that I want to keep together, but I don't necessarily want to pin them. I just need to keep these together so that I know where they are, and I've got this group, actually where it's going to go is right back onto my design wall so I can find it. And it's really nice. The binding clips have a space there so that you can put these on your wall and pin them in place so that whatever group you're trying to keep together just hangs right where you put it. You could add a piece of paper with some sort of identifying information if you needed to. And another way that I use the binding clips is this. When I'm sewing paper pieces together, especially larger paper pieces, I will sometimes find the side I want to sew together and then use a binding clip to hold them in place. Now, the binding clips, I didn't say this before, they have a flat side and a more curved side. And this is important for their primary function, which is to hold the binding flat so that you can sew it in the sewing machine. You know, when you turn the binding to the back of your quilt, you would want the flat side next to the flat part of your sewing machine by the feed dogs. So here, when I'm using the binder clips to hold the overlay to the paper, I want to be sure that the flat side of the binder clip is against the tabletop because it will hold things flatter. In the same way, when I'm doing a binder clip, using a binder clip for my English paper piecing, I usually put the flat side away from me and sew, although in that case it's less important. There are probably a million other uses for these things. They're really functional. They're not particularly expensive for the number of ways you can use them. When they first came out, they were all red, and I bought several boxes of these when they were red. So most of my binding clips are red. but they also now come in rainbow colors, which is kind of fun. So you can look at pieceofcake.com, you can look at your local quilt shop. I'm sure you'll be able to find these, and I think you're going to really enjoy having at least a few in your sewing supplies because you will find places to use them. And that is my big binding clip, wonder clip tip for today. I hope you have many happy stitches and enjoy your day. Thanks for watching.